Hello, my beautiful humans. I am finally back after what seems like the longest break from YouTube. A lot has been going on behind the scenes, and to be honest, YouTube has just not been my priority, but I thought it was about time to come back, given I have gone full time into the online coaching space. So if you don't know already, I'm Keandra. I live in the UK. I'm an online eating disorder recovery coach and nutritional advisor. I help people all over the world recover their relationship with food, their body and themselves, and I'm really passionate about the space. I am a survivor of an eating disorder myself, so I really just wanted to come back on YouTube to share a bit of the wisdom and some of the tips I have learned on my own recovery journey and that I share with one-on-one clients. If you're interested in finding out more, I will leave all the links in the show notes. But without further ado, I'm just going to get straight in because there's no time to waste. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can fix your metabolism after an eating disorder, disordered eating, or any such form of dieting that has got you in a bit of a mess with your body. Now, I want to preface that I am not a doctor, so please take this information as an informative source. And if you are struggling with anything, please reach out to your local healthcare professional or doctor or GP or whoever to support you in this journey. But this is going to be a good place to start and understand what is going on. So, metabolism. Number one, you cannot break your metabolism. It's not possible. Every human has a metabolism that works and that can repair. So I want to remind you that you can't, break your metabolism, nor can you fix it, but you can rebuild it and repair it. I think I first want you to understand what actually metabolism is. It's a word that is thrown around a lot within diet culture, within my own practice with my clients. A lot of people come to me and say, how am I going to fix my metabolism? And like I said, you can't fix it, but you can repair it. So the metabolism is basically your basal metabolic rate, so your BMR. You might have heard that term before, and that's basically the energy your body uses to function. So that's everything it does. And the basal metabolic rate is made up of a couple of things. So your resting metabolic rate, and so that's everything that you do at rest just to keep you alive. And now that's 50 to 60% of your daily nutritional needs. And I'm going to say something really clear here. That's normally higher than that number, 1,200 calories that you see a lot of diets blasted around the internet. So that is why that number is totally wrong, because our body uses more energy at rest just to keep us alive. Then you have thermogenesis. So that is the energy used to break down your food. Now, different food components take more energy to digest. That might make up 5 to 10% of your overall energy needs. Then you have physical activity. So anything that you do over and above that. Again, that is only about 5 to 10%, so it only makes up a small amount of your daily energy needs. Now, this is why when you see these numbers being blasted around, that they are wrong, because you can see that the body actually requires a lot of energy just to survive. Your heart and your organs all need energy, and you can't survive without it. It is fuel for life. Food is a lot more, but it's fuel for life. So metabolism is a sum of all parts, not just one thing. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't survive on less. Now, it's not optimal, but this is where your metabolism adapts. So some signs of undereating or a slowed metabolism, and you could be undereating through either eating too little food or over-exercising, or a combination of both. Like I said, if you've got an eating disorder, this is quite common, a combination of all of these things. But again, often I see this in the general population who have gone through crash diets. So you could be experiencing things such as a slowed heart rate, cold hands and feet, loss of menstrual cycle. And this is about low energy availability. Someone who's a healthy weight can also experience loss of menstrual cycle. And I go through this in much more detail over my podcast. Again, I will leave the link below, and the podcast is here. Also, you can have signs of a slowed metabolism. So you can feel very sluggish, constipation, bloating, all of the above, because the digestion needs energy to work. And if you haven't got the energy, then your digestion is not going to work. So that's why I see a lot of people, especially in the early days of recovery, experiencing a lot of digestive discomfort. So just be mindful that these are all kind of signs and symptoms that you may be struggling with a slowed metabolism due to any of the above. overexercising, undereating, stress, a combination of all of them. So you're going to say, well, what do I do if I recognize I have a slowed down metabolism? Now, awareness is key. Awareness is part of the stages of change model. So this is why this video is really important for you to actually recognize, am I having any of those signs and symptoms? Again, there are more that I've missed off because having a slowed metabolism affects so many areas of our life. Concentration is one of them. I forgot that. And if you've got a lack of concentration, you might have a slowed down metabolism, not enough food, not enough energy, not enough fuel in the tank to actually concentrate on tasks. So these are some signs and symptoms. And you might say to me, Keandra, what am I going to do? I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of how you can actually start to rebuild and repair your metabolism. Again, it is not gospel, so take everything and roll with it. But I think the number one foundation of everything is we're going to need to eat more. And that might feel absolutely petrifying to somebody at the start of their eating disorder recovery journey. I truly believe if you put your mind to something, nothing is impossible. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I think the foundations of this all is we're going to need to eat more. And no, that is not going to lead to, immediate fat gain. I hear that time and time again, this fear of gaining weight really fast. Now, what you might find, because if you have been undereating for any period of time, is because your body has completely slowed down. So when you don't get enough nutrition, your body slows down and your metabolism down regulates. So that's what we say of, slowing down, it's down regulating. It's not broken. Over millions and millions and millions of years, we have as humans adapted to survive. So when you don't have enough fuel, what you're going to do, we're going to say, okay, we're going to shut down non-essential functions. That is another reason why a lot of people lose their menstrual cycles, is because, you don't need to have children if we are in a famine, if we are trying to survive. Basically, the body is very, very clever. So it downregulates all systems. So when you start to eat more, you might initially find that you retain more water and the scale goes up more quickly, but this is an initial transition. It's not going to be there forever, because what happens, and you'll see this time and time again, I see this, is the metabolism starts to increase. So you start to find that you become more hungry. At first, especially if you're starting to eat more regularly, you might feel really full, really sluggish, really constipated, but that does pass over time. When your body starts to work again, starts to move all processes, your metabolism will start to increase. It will start to go, wow, we're coming out of a famine. I've got food to do all of these essential functions. So the first thing really to do is establish a structure of eating and working with a dietitian, a nutritionist, a healthcare team. That might be a coach to help you get some sort of structure with your eating plans. I know I do this with clients, is we understand, okay, how are we going to start to increase food? If we're not working with a dietitian, is there areas where we can bring more snacks in, etc. I would always say to somebody who's trying to repair the metabolism, as a basis of all is to have a minimum of 3 meals and 3 snacks. These meals and snacks are adequate. They're adequate of proteins, carbs, and fats. You've got maybe some veg in there. One thing I would say about veg is try not to fill yourself up with too much fibrous foods, because if your digestion, which it most likely will be, is down regulated, you're going to find that you're going to be bunged up, you're going to feel uncomfortable. And so limiting those kind of fibrous foods can be really helpful at the start of recovery. But again, we need to have all of this energy. And I want to also stress one thing. Don't be scared of carbs. There's a lot of things like blast around the internet about, carbs make you gain weight. That is complete wrong information. Carbs are your body's preferred energy source. They, the brain alone uses so many carbs just to survive. So, if you're reducing carbs, you're reducing all this precious energy. So carbs are your friend, people. So I like to use the plate by plate approach. It's an approach that's used with, children and young people and adults trying to recover from an eating disorder. So basically it's the rule of thirds or the rule of quarters and halves. So a third to a half of your plate, carbohydrates, and then the rest proteins, veg, and a portion of fat. So it's really important to understand the basis of your meal. Don't just be having, low volume or high volume, low calorie foods, because that is not going to give your body enough energy. So that's the basis of the start of it. It's actually make sure you're eating enough food, and you can do this gradually or you can do it all in one go. Everyone's very, very individual about the process that they go through with re-nourishing themselves. I'm of the attitude that you kind of want to get the structure there and then build upon it if someone feels ready. Everyone is completely different, but to really boil it down, we've got to eat. In addition, we really want to be working on our rest. So depending on your background and your relationship with movement, like I've said before, over-exercising can be a component in under-fueling of the body. Now, in future videos, I might start to address the role of exercise in recovery and signs and symptoms of compulsive exercise. But let's say that you have a problem with exercise, or you are exercising a lot. You might want to consider bringing the volume of that training down, or your movement. And movement can be things like, walking, daily household tasks. Are you doing unnecessary things? That energy that's being exerted out could be used to repair the body and all of the internal processes that have been downregulated. Because when you think about eating more, a lot of people think, oh, I'm automatically going to gain weight. That might be a necessary part of your journey, and I'll come on to that. But it doesn't really work like that. You're going to restore your cells, and so restore your glycogen stores is going to be something that changes potential weight. That's water, that weighs something, but it's not going to be tissue. But you are going to be restoring internal processes which require energy. And so if you're exerting everything into daily household tasks, walking, exercise, you're not going to have anything left over to repair the body. So I would opt towards restful activities. And if necessary, if you feel like you really want to do, any form of movement, things like yoga, stretching, light Pilates, light strolls, actually thinking of, am I doing tasks that are non-essential, and then putting them aside. Do you really need to clean the microwave at 2 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon? I'm paraphrasing, but actually looking at all of the kind of behaviors you're doing and actually think, can I take a break? All our energy needs to go into re-nourishment and repairing the body. We also need to look, like I said about food, we need to look about what we're eating. So actually, thinking about those vitamins and minerals, making sure that we're getting everything that our body needs. I'm not a massive fan of multivitamins and supplements, if we can avoid them, because really one's diet should have them in place. But if we are going to take anything, always consult a healthcare professional and understand your needs. I think, as standard, I normally take a multivitamin, vitamin D and B12. I live in the UK. There's not much sunshine, so a B12 supplement is going to be really, really helpful. But again, your needs are unique. So if you can get all of these vitamins and minerals in your food, great. So trying to, reduce that consumption of fibrous foods that are not going to give your body what it needs. Fruit and veg is great. I love it, but it might not be what you need at this point. And then I would also look at your kind of mindfulness piece. So stress reduction, because stress and the hormones released with stress, aka cortisol, not our best friend, is released in fight or flight. So, when somebody is over-exercising, under-eating, we are in a state of stress, the body is. And that's why a lot of our systems shut down. So we need to focus on stress management techniques. Could be things like journaling, mindfulness practices like breathing and meditation, and also focusing on things like, acupuncture potentially, looking into these holistic medicines. I'm not advocating anything here, but, actually looking in other forms of stress reduction if you've tried everything. But also, I think the key that people don't think about is sleep. The role of sleep. Sleep is amazing. There's a book called Why We Sleep. I've forgotten who wrote it, but I will link it below. And sleep is essential. And I know when someone is under eating and over exercising, because I experience it too, sleep is completely messed up. So if we can focus on sleep and having good quality sleep, so having a good bedtime routine, winding down before bed, getting off our phones, getting off social media, like half an hour at least before bed, and winding down and having that good sleep, then you're gonna help your body repair even faster. I also want to note that, I mentioned restoring weight. So if you are underweight as a result of your eating disorder, disordered eating, even if you are not underweight by the BMI scale or any such metric, because these things are outdated, as is the calorie guidelines for women and men, because the FDA, actually, if you look into it, the calorie guidelines were a lot higher in past years, and then they brought it down to lovely round numbers. And that's why these guidelines should not be your maximum, and you're going to need a lot more food than you think. So thinking about weight, and this is where the food comes in. So you might be underweight as a result of your eating disorder for your body. So if by eating more and eating enough and eating what your body needs, you gain weight as a result, then that's weight you were never meant to lose in the first place. And I want you to ignore metrics, ignore that information, because that is not unique to you. It does not take into consideration gender, age, body composition, whether you have a high muscle mass, etc., etc. It doesn't take any of that into consideration. So your needs are your needs. And I think that's really important to state. So when we think about nutritional needs, and I don't want you to start, tracking your calories, but you might need a lot more fuel than you think. So when you think about calorie guidelines for women and men that you see on packets, they should be ignored. I mean, I know for a fact if I was to, think of an average day, I would eat over and above the recommended daily allowance for women, because that's what my body needs. And I needed so much more during my eating disorder recovery to repair internal systems. So I want you to be brave. It's scary, but one of the most important commitments in recovery is unrestricted eating and thinking whatever, how much ever, whenever, and actually committing to the process and healing all of that damage done inside. You have the power within you to do this, and I totally believe in you. It's really scary, but I believe in you, and trust in your body's wisdom. It knows the score, it knows what it's doing, and it will over time increase. Your metabolism will increase, it will repair, you'll be able to eat food and realize and trust your body that the world is not going to end, and you're not going to gain and gain and gain and gain, because that does not happen. I see it all the time. And it's been my own experience. I've repaired my metabolism and the world hasn't ended. So that wraps up the video. I hope it was helpful for some of you. If you have got any questions or just want to leave a comment, please do down below. I will reply to any of them. I will leave all the links in the description if you want to get in touch, if you want to work on one-on-one coaching. I will be taking on clients in the near future. Whenever you watch this, you can have a free one-on-one discovery call with me for 15 minutes, have a chat, see if it fits. But for now, I'm so happy to be back. I hope you liked this video. Please like, share, follow, subscribe, all of that jazz. I don't even remember it these days. And take care of yourself. See you soon.